You need winners? Let the Football Insiders show you how to make money. General Manager Al DeMarco, a former sports reporter and contributor on Fox Sports, MSNBC, and Comcast Sports TV, brings over 25 years of handicapping experience to the table. CEO Steve Budin, the author of Bets, Drugs, and Rock and Roll, is the man responsible for creating the sports betting industry. Together, they are the Football Insiders, your number one source for football winners.
They say 99% of statistics only tell 49% of the complete story, but every now and then you get one that shines through, and here's one for you. This past weekend, all 15 of your straight-up winners in the NFL covered the spread. And how's this for a twist of fate? So far, through 4 weeks of the NFL season, the straight-up winners against the spread, 53 wins, 4 losses, and 6 pushes. Money in the bank. If only it was that easy. Hi everyone, Al DeMarco here, and joining me as he has each and every week for the past 10 years, Steve Budin in Miami, and this is the Football Insiders, the only nationally televised pregame show to highlight all your top NFL games from a point spread perspective. And as I said, Steve, if it was this easy to pick the winners, well, they wouldn't call it gambling.
Absolutely, and it just shows you how hard it is to pick the straight-up winner, let alone when you incorporate the spread. Not a good week for those suicide pool owners. They all went down last week, but hey, that's why people use us in the first place, because it ain't easy to do it alone.
Hey, listen, who would have guessed going into last week that the New England Patriots would not only lose, but get shut out at home by the Buffalo Bills, or that Arizona, a major favorite, a game that everybody and their brother bet up to a double-digit chalk at home, would lose outright to the LA Rams. Again, it's nice to quote those numbers, but it's not always easy to pick those straight-up winners as well. So let's get it started with those New England Patriots, who are going to have that guy by the name of Tom Brady, who, I don't know about you, but all I've been reading about Tom Brady the last few weeks is that he's been vacationing with his supermodel wife. And frankly, all I've been caring about is seeing all her pictures in those hot bikinis. I mean, I don't really give a damn about Tom Brady. As far as this game, I mean, all that matters here is that Brady's back. The Patriots are coming off a loss. And even though this number is going to go up into double-digit margins and keep escalating as the week goes on, get down on the Patriots now, because they're going to win. They're going to win big. And Steve, listen, we're recording this show on Tuesday. And the one thing that's guaranteed by game time is that this line, which currently is sitting right around 10.5 points, is only going to keep going up.
That's exactly right. So Brady makes his return out just in the nick of time. Look, Patriots got shut out by Rex Ryan and the Bills 16-0 last week. Last time the Patriots got shut out at home, Al, people were still looking at peep shows on 42nd Street in Times Square. It was 1993. So the Bills shut New England out last week, but let's not forget, they beat a third stringer. So what's the big deal? Well, all of that changes this week. Brady's back, Gronk is back, and as good as Tyrod Taylor played last week, he only scored 16 points. That's a big win for the New England defense. Al, this is my nowhere to run, nowhere to hide special of the week. The Browns are going with 23-year-old deer in the headlights, Cody Kessler. And look, it may take Brady 2 or 3 snaps to get his breathing going, but to me, this one's all New England. I'm actually a fan of buying the half point down from 10.5 down to 10. Al, you know, more games end in 10 than 7. That's a fact. A lot of people don't know that. And like you said, there's a reason we shoot the show on Tuesday. We come out with it on Thursday night. Gives everybody plenty of time to line shop. And if you're like me and you're going with Brady and Belichick, you bet that game as early as possible, because like Al said, it's going all the way up.
Hey, listen, in terms of statistics and ATS trends, I've always maintained that if you give me one for one side, I can easily flip the coin and give you one for the other. And here's a perfect example. Coming off a straight-up loss, Bill Belichick over the last few years, 26-11 against the spread after his last 37 straight-up losses. But here's the flip side of that story. The Patriots, 4-13 against the spread, their last 17 as a road favorite. What does it all mean? Patriots are going to win this one easily by 2 touchdowns or more and cover the spread because Brady's back. That's the bottom line. Speaking of a team that's back, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the real Pittsburgh Steelers, showed up this past Sunday night and handed the Kansas City Chiefs a real ass-kicking. And why were they back? Because they had their total offensive weaponry back, because Le'Veon Bell was back in the lineup. These were not the Pittsburgh Steelers that were handed their worst loss in 27 years by the Philadelphia Eagles just 1 week earlier. No, these were the dangerous Pittsburgh Steelers. How important was Le'Veon Bell? Well, you saw, because now suddenly that spread offense, their version that the Steelers like to run, Ben Roethlisberger, 5 touchdown passes, spreading the ball around. 9 different guys had receptions. Le'Veon Bell, after the 3-game suspension, what did he do? Guys, 18 carries, 144 yards, 178 yards total offense. They were running 2 and 3 tight end sets. They were running D'Angelo Williams and Le'Veon Bell in the backfield. And then the defense finally got aggressive after having just 1 quarterback sack in the first 3 games. After having 46 a year ago, they were blitzing like crazy. They got Alex Smith 4 times. Now the Steelers are back, and they're taking on the Jets. And Steve, you've said repeatedly here on the show that the Jets are frauds, and they proved to be frauds again last week and proved you to be right once more. I'm sure you're not changing your tune this week.
Al, this game sticks out to me like a Mexican at a Donald Trump rally. Good team at home versus a bad team on the road. Trap, maybe, but way too tempting to pass up. Look, quarterbacks like Ryan Fitzpatrick, they're built for one thing and one thing only, to beat mediocre teams. I mean, this is Ryan Fitzpatrick doing his best Richard Todd. I've seen it. It's ugly. And you can have Matt Forte, and you can have whoever you want at running back. It doesn't matter when defenses can key on the run and force you to pass, and the Jets cannot pass. Steelers, on the other hand, we know they can pass, and this is going to be the best running game that the Jets have faced all season long. Steelers now have a balanced attack. Loving Big Ben in this situation. I'm going for the blowout here with the black and gold.
Steelers 8-2-1 against the spread, their last 11 regular season home games. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 9 interceptions the past 2 games. Enough said about this one. Steelers, a cheap chalk, even at 7.5 to 8 points. Baltimore, a 3-0 start, playing a bunch of nobodies. Last week against Oakland, they more or less gift-wrapped that win for the Raiders. And now they find themselves taking on a Washington Redskins team in the Battle of the Beltway. The Redskins getting Jay Gruden off the hot seat as they rallied from 21-9 deficit to win against the Giants on the road 2 weeks ago. Didn't play exceptionally well against the Browns last week, but they got the win to square the record at 2-2. Steve, to me, this is a toss-up game. I don't even care who wins this game, but I'm looking at the total in this contest. 2 teams that aren't necessarily that good defensively, 46.5 points. This does not impress me as being a 17-16 game. This is one of those games that has 34-31 written all over it. So I've got to say, who cares who wins? Just play the over.
Yeah, and I think the reason why you're looking at the total, Al, is because it is so evenly matched up with the point spread. One of the biggest problems I have with the Ravens is we look at this team and we think automatically of the glory years when they were defensive animals. It's like these women in the bars in Aspen. They're so Botoxed up, you can't tell if they're 40 or 90. But if you drink enough in the altitude, they could look 30. I don't know where I'm going here. I guess what I'm trying to say is that these are not the Super Bowl Ravens of yesteryear. In fact, the only one left is Flacco, and he's thrown for 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. How great is that? Look, he's got 1 touchdown or less in the last 4 or 5 games. Flacco, Al, is the Latin term for thin. And let me tell you something. This team is thin on offense. They're thin on defense. They're Nicole Richie thin. The Redskins, 4-0 against the spread last 4 road games. Ravens, 2-10-1 last 13 home games. That being said, I do think the game is evenly matched, and in games like this, if you put a gun to my head, I take the points.
I'm not exactly sure where we veered into TMZ territory here, but women in Aspen who have been Botoxed and Nicole Richie in a football prognostication show. I'm not exactly sure where that fits in, but who am I to debate? You take the over and heck with the game. Listen, guys, we're going to take a brief commercial break, and when we return, we're going to take a look at that game between the 3-0 straight up and against the spread Eagles visiting Detroit, coming up in just a moment. 4.5 years ago, I created the Charity Play of the Week program. And in that time, you and I have created a community of caregivers that have combined to contribute well over $350,000 to people in times of need. For those of you that have joined me, my thanks. For those of you that are not aware of the Charity Play of the Week program, let me just remind you, once a week, I give one of the top plays from one of the handicappers away here at the site for free, no strings attached. If it wins, then on a quid pro quo basis, I ask you to make a donation to a charity recipient that I choose on a weekly basis. I don't care if it's $1, $5, or $50. You don't have to put in the $250 that I do each time it wins, but I ask you to participate. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. Why? Because it creates positive karma. And you and I both know in this thing we do called gambling, we can never have enough positive karma. Again, I give you the play for free. And if it wins, I then ask you to make a contribution. It's done on the honor system, guys. And again, over the past 4.5 years, this community of caregivers has contributed well over $350,000. So, it's usually on Tuesday or Wednesday on the site. Check it out. You'll see one of the feature plays from one of the handicappers given away for free, no strings attached. It's a Charity Play of the Week program, and I hope you become a member of one of the most important things that you'll ever come across in gambling. Nobody's ever done it. I created it, and it's definitely something that will produce some positive karma in your life and benefit others in a time of need. Last year, it was the Thanksgiving Day Massacre. The Eagles in Detroit on Thanksgiving, and they were carved up by the Lions 45-14. It was more or less the beginning of the end of the Chip Kelly era and the Mark Sanchez era as well. And I think all Eagles fans are grateful on both counts because it's a new day in Philadelphia. A fresh start with Carson Wentz at quarterback, Doug Peterson as the new field general, and a 3-0 start straight up and against the spread. The Eagles coming off the bye. And Steve, I look at this game and listen, I'm from suburban Philadelphia. I grew up an Eagles fan. They're a 3-point choice. I'm looking at this game and I'm saying, how are they not a 7-point choice? Because what have the Lions done for you this year? They just lost to the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears, who haven't been able to beat anybody for years at home. And they lost to Brian Hoyer and the Bears. Brian Hoyer just threw for 300 yards on this team. Eagles are going to roll here. End of story. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are I never go against the king of Philadelphia on bets on or against Philadelphia. Al, you know it. You walk the streets in Philly. Carson Wentz, more popular in Philly than a blonde escort in Tijuana. And don't get me wrong, Al, I like the kid. Compared to Mark Sanchez, he's freaking Ron Jaworski. But to me, this isn't about why I would bet the Eagles. This is really about my lack of enthusiasm for this Detroit squad. 1-3 on the season, injured at multiple key positions. Completely unimpressive to me thus far. Look, bottom line, they rely too much on Matty Stafford, and he can only do so much against this Philadelphia defense, which is full of animals. Eagles 4-1 against the spread, last 5 on the road. 4-0 ATS, last 4 overall. Look, Al, what can I say about Detroit? It's an ugly city. It's an ugly football team. You know, you can get a suite at the Ritz-Carlton for less than $42. I rest my case. Philly minus the 2.5.
And here's a guaranteed best bet. Steve Budin will never be hired by the Detroit Department of Tourism after those stirring words of endorsement about the town. But listen, I can also tell you, Eagles defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz, former Lions head coach, you know, that is also a big key reason for the Eagles turnaround because he came in and really is using the personnel they had to their best advantage. He installed the 4-3 defense with a wide 9 scheme. That's an aggressive pressing defense that generates a lot of pressure and a lot of sacks without blitzing. And it's paid off. They come in here with the number 6 pass defense, 10 sacks through 3 games. They are going to get after Matt Stafford because the Lions have proven to you because of injuries they cannot run the ball. Stafford already sacked 10 times in 4 games. I remember when Schwartz, as the Buffalo Bills defensive coordinator, came in with the Bills a couple of years ago, his first time back in Detroit, and the Bills dominated defensively, and the Bills defense carried him off the field as if he was the head coach because they knew how important that game was for the former Lions head coach. I see the same thing happening here because the Eagles love this guy. and the Eagles are going to roll here, and they are going to absolutely have a field day and take care of business against Stafford. Next game, Rams and the Bills. I got nothing to say here about this game, okay? Listen, they're going to play the game. The line's around a field goal. I could care less. I think both of these teams are just I look at the total, 40. I can see certainly under. You know, Steve, this is one of those games when I look at what happened last week and I look at the results of both teams and I say, mirages. Because a lot of people will just look at the final score and say, oh my gosh, hey, the Rams, they won 17-13 at Arizona. Cardinals are supposed to be real good. They pulled the upset. But then you look at the final score and they were outgained in that game, 420 yards to 288. Why did they win? Because the Cardinals turned the ball over 5 times in that contest. And then you look at the Bills. Okay, they shut out the Patriots, 16-0. Patriots playing with a third-string quarterback. Okay, big deal. And that's how I feel about the game. To me, it's the who cares game of the week.
No, I agree. And Al, look, Rex Ryan carried a lot more weight with me when he was 400 pounds. I mean, if Sexy Rexy could just take a break from patting himself on the back long enough, he'd realize his so-called biggest win as a Bill last week, like you said, came against a third stringer. In fact, the offensive explosion of Tyrod Taylor, what did it net them? 16 whopping points. Big deal. LA held Seattle to 3 points in their first game in LA. Al, I think this is going way under the posted total. It would take these teams 8 quarters to get to 40 points. Let's go under the posted total here.
And I will tell you I will tell you the Bills, and I will get their name right eventually in the third try. I will say Buffalo, 6-2-1 under their last 9 on the road. I will also tell you that the Rams are 15-5-1 under their last 21 games overall, whether they've been playing in St. Louis and LA or wherever the hell in between. Also, I look at this Rams offense. Now, the defense has certainly played well enough, although, let's face it, the teams that they have played this year have certainly been struggling offensively as well. So it's a combination of both factors. But in terms of LA's offense, Case Keenum, 55% completions, 4 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions, big deal. Todd Gurley, as a rookie last year, averaged 4.8 yards per carry. This year, 2.8 yards per carry. So before we are nominating Jeff Fisher for Coach of the Year honors, let's remember that this team is fortunate to be 3-1. They'll be fortunate if they finish with 7 wins, I think, on the season. I'm with you. It's the under in a game that I would certainly not watch. Now, if that game is under, well, this next one is over. Oakland and San Diego. You've got a Raiders team that is dead last in the NFL in pass defense. You got a Raiders team that is second to last in the NFL in run defense. You got a Chargers team that last week in the final 5 minutes, playing at home no less, 2 turnovers led to the New Orleans Saints overcoming a 13-point deficit in San Diego and rallying for the 1-point win. You got a Chargers team that has coughed up a lead 3 times in the fourth quarter to lose 3 times in 4 weeks so far this season. You got 2 teams that put points on the board and can't stop their opponents. And you got a total of 51. Steve, does this seem like it's going to be a 13-10 final to you?
Absolutely not. I mean, I'll keep it short and sweet. Let's be honest. San Diego, more banged up than Tina Turner after her first marriage, but this is a must-win situation for them. And that's what I think is so important. I think they continue to keep games close, but they obviously can't win. I see that trend continuing here, Al. I think San Diego keeps this close enough to cover the 4.5-point bulge. I'm going with San Diego.
People out there are going, Tina Turner more banged up than her first marriage. People are probably going to be Googling that going, what's he talking about? The younger generation. Okay, next game. I think this is one of the best games on the board. Dallas at home against Cincinnati. Talk about a cheap chalk, an undeserving cheap chalk from this perspective. Dallas is getting no respect from the odds makers. Are you kidding me? What have the Bengals done? Bengals 2 Thursdays ago, taking on an injury-riddled Miami team, could barely get by. And what was the final score? 22-7. All the Cowboys have done is proven that they can win. We talked about last week's game at San Francisco as perhaps being a trap. And for part of the game, it looked like we were going to be right because there was Dallas going to San Francisco down 14-0 in the second quarter. But there is a team that last week, missing its starting left guard, missing its starting left tackle, missing Des Bryant, calmly, coolly rallied on the road for its 3rd straight win. And you look at this Cowboys team, they opened the season with a 1-point loss at home to the Giants. They've since reeled off 3 straight wins, and they've done it in impressive fashion behind the rookie combo of Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott.
Look, Al, bettors right now are smitten with this Bengal team, and for good reason. They're 9-1 against the spread last 10 road games, 14-5-2 ATS last 21 overall. But I'm sorry, like you said, you used the word respect. Well, to me, this is the Rodney Dangerfield special. No respect at all. And let me tell you, Dallas -1 at home. Are you kidding me? I think, Al, Dallas has finally got comfortable with their new identity in the post-Romo era. And if nothing else, man, there's an excitement in Texas that there hasn't been before for this Dallas team in a long time. Dak Prescott, most impressive thing to me, 0 interceptions, 0 fumbles, not 1 turnover. That's a stark contrast to the Tony Romo era. On the other side of the ball, Andy Dalton, he's putting up decent numbers for Cincinnati, but he's no Moses, and he continues to fail to put his team into the promised land, too often settling for field goals instead of touchdowns. When you look at history, Al, Dallas historically not good at home for bettors. 16-34-1 against the spread last 51 in Texas. Also not good historically in the month of October, 1-4 ATS last 5 October games. But let's be honest, Al, those are all Tony Romo numbers. I believe Dallas has a certain momentum here. They've won 3 in a row. Let's make it 4 in a row. I think Dallas rolls over this Bengal bunch in Dallas.
Well, listen, something else to consider here, and I'm with you because I love the Cowboys in this spot. Also to think about this regarding the Cowboys. The reason they have been so successful here in the past couple of weeks is the emergence of Zeke Elliott in the backfield. 2 straight games over 100 yards. He leads the NFL, 412 yards rushing. In the history of the Dallas Cowboys franchise, no rookie running back has as many yards through 4 games as Zeke Elliott. We're talking more than Tony Dorsett, more than Emmitt Smith, more than Calvin Hill. That's quite an illustrious group to be a member of and to be atop of that pack. Plus, the Cowboys have been doing it with time of possession. They are number 2 in the league in terms of time of possession, 35 minutes a game because of that ground attack and because Dak Prescott has been so efficient moving the chains with those short to medium route passes. And consequently, the Cowboys defense, which is very thin, not exactly dominant, has been unable to get much rush in terms of pressuring opposing quarterbacks. It's not being exposed. This is the antithesis of any Chip Kelly coach team, which moves the ball quickly on offense and exposes its defense constantly. This is the opposite. Jason Garrett has really done a good job here with the Cowboys. Love him in this spot. And I just think the Bengals, last year was the Bengals' year. This year, this is a team on decline. I love the Cowboys in this one. Hey, guys, this will conclude this week's edition of the Countdown to Kickoff Football Insiders Show. For Steve Budin, I'm Al DeMarco, and we'll catch you next week. And remember, you can watch my daily video report each and every day at the website. Until next week's show, good luck and good gambling this week on your NFL action.